I just can't not make a video. Day 30, fucking killing it. Just fucking feeling so fucking good being back on my walk, back on the trail. Just feeling fucking phenomenal. Feeling so clear, so purposeful, so powerful. You really don't know what you're missing until you feel this level of personal power. You really don't. If you know my story, I started jerking it back when I was, in junior high school. So I'm, pre-teen. I'm 11, 12 years old when I first did it. And I've been doing it ever since. You're literally depleting yourself of life force energy. Pure creative force. And you really just don't know what you've got. You really just don't know what you're missing until you go on this journey. It's profound. And not to say, that there aren't challenges. There are challenges. There are temptations. Most certainly, most definitely. We are carnal men at the end of the day. But that is the purpose of going on this journey, is to overcome the carnal man, is to tame that wild Mustang, to differentiate the God self with the animal self. Consider this. You are two entities existing simultaneously at the same time, right here and now. As you watch this video, that voice in your head? That is separate from your physical body. Okay? Your physical body is completely separate from your non-physical mental self. Let's put it that way. So let's clarify our definitions. You have a physical self. That's the physical body that you use to navigate the physical reality. And then you have the non-physical mental self. That's the part of you that thinks, that reasons, that calculates. There's also a deeper subconscious or unconscious self. This is where your identity exists. Your identity is the hardwired belief structures that you have adopted and that you have deemed as truth about yourself. What I do that's different compared to everybody else that I've seen, at least especially on YouTube, is I'm not trying to get you to force your willpower to build new habits and to try to repress your sexual energy, to repress these urges, to see how long you can go. Those things are well and good. I think it's important, like playing a game, you want to keep score for a certain period of time. But once you become proficient enough at playing the game, keeping the score doesn't matter anymore because you are that man. What I do that's different is I go into that subconscious mind. I go into the unconscious part of you and I change your identity, who you are, who you see yourself as, the character that you are playing in this game. And once you accept, and you're the one that does it actually, I don't do it, I just guide you through the process, the system whereby you create it yourself. I'm just like your guide. I've just done this long enough for the last 20 years. I've studied, I've learned, I've mastered these systems, creating my own, whereby you can go in create the new code, install that code, and you come out an entirely different man. Once you're a new and different man, everything changes. If you've watched my recent videos last week when I was in Salt Lake on holiday, food that you used to like doesn't taste the same. You no longer have the thoughts, the compulsions that you once did. And as you continue to play the game differently every day, what you're doing is you're reinforcing, you're solidifying the new code, the new identity that of your ideal self. So, to give you an example, I just gave you some. When I was in Salt Lake last week, the sugar cookies that I've loved my entire life, I didn't like them at all. Very interesting. Just ate next to none of the old comfort food, the old treats that I used to love. It's very, very interesting. But even talking about it, what I'm doing is I'm reconfirming to myself that these shifts are being made. I'm not you see, those fucking another breakthrough right now. All of those attractions to old foods that you like, junk food, candy, treats, comfort food, those are all associated, they're all attached, they're all a part of your old identity. When you change your identity, you no longer are even attracted to, your tastes change. That's how you know you're making changes. That's how you know this is working, is when things that you used to like, you no longer attracted to. That's how you know that a shift is being made. So another thing that happened this morning, before I get out of bed, put in my headphones, I put on my blackout mask, I listen to my morning activation recording, and right at the end, as it says, open your eyes, rise, and go take what is yours. I got out of bed and I did 25 push-ups. May seem inconsequential, but it changes the tone for the day. That used to be my window of weakness. First thing in the morning wood, horned up, rub one out. That was the old routine, the old ritual from the old identity. Now, I'm waking up primed. I've used my imagination. I'm seeing myself as my ideal self. I'm living in my ideal life. And I'm making moves, taking actions that are in harmony in that direction. Because every action you take leads you to a destination. Just like, imagine, whether you work out or you don't work out, that's one step in the direction of a destination. So if you never work out, you treat your body like shit, you're drained, you're depleted of life force energy, that leads to a destination. You're going to get results. Whereas if you retain that energy, and if you start conditioning your body, you start priming your body, that leads to another direction, another destination. So goes it for, building a business, going out and learning to be social. Every action that you take is a step in the direction of a destination. So you got to look at every action that you're taking in your life and ask yourself, what direction am I heading in? Where is the destination this path leads to? And is that where I really want to go? And if it's not, then you are going to have to make a decision. Am I willing to do whatever it takes to change who I am to get to where I want to go? And let me tell you, the fastest way that there is, because usually when people hear, oh, are you willing to do whatever it takes? It's mean work harder. I'm telling you, it's not harder work at all. It's all just action. You're taking action. You're doing it anyway. You're just taking different action. The push-ups this morning, I've been doing push-ups every day, every week, all year. I started out at 10. I could barely do 10 push-ups at 43 years old at the beginning of the year. Now I busted out 25 like it was no big deal. It's all the same. It's all action. It's where you're directing that action, where you're directing your energy. But what I'm talking about is I'm talking about changing the identity, changing the image, the idea, the story that you've made up about yourself. Because if you're jerking it, if you're broke, if you're out of shape, if you're losing, okay? Again, I don't mean to be derogatory when I say this, but if you're a loser, you're losing the game of life, you're not where you want to be, it's because you're holding on to, you're playing out the main character in a story that you believe true about yourself. What I do is I help go in and I help change that story. So, by the time you see this, it'll be middle of January. We've already started our first 2 cycles of 2026, the first cycle of sexual alchemy and the first cycle of the 0.1% man. If you'd like to learn about those, go check out the links in the bio or links in the description, whatever, and see if that's for you. It's not for everyone, for sure. You've got to qualify, you've got to go through an application process. But I'm telling you, creating absolutely incredible transformations in there. I'd love for you to be a part of it. Go check it out, see if it's for you. Click the link on the description. See you in the next one. Peace.